believe this is the last week of 2021?
Dara, your voice is not real clear.
No,
Yeah, you sound muffled.
Put your
There
mic
you go.
up there.
is that better?
Better.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Okay, all right. I don't have good reception here, just saying. So if I lose it, that's because there's not good service here. I need to get a booster.
It's well worth it that you got to go to Tampa.
Yes, yes. We're here. So welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening for the Groomers Cut. This is our last one for 2021. We have been doing this now for seven months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
7 months.
Wow.
We
Yeah,
first talked about it in Pasadena at the Groom Expo West in February.
That seems
We
so long
did.
ago.
I know it does.
It's like it's been years.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've accomplished a lot. A lot has changed since
Yeah.
A lot has really changed, and that's kind of where we're going with this show tonight. So for all of our new viewers, you are watching the Groomers Cut, and we are the Pet Pro Educators. Thank you guys for your time this evening, and I hope you had a wonderful final Christmas rush. I've heard some mixed messages about people and how busy they were versus this year versus last year, and this Christmas season versus even Thanksgiving. For any new viewer, please, whichever platform you're watching this on, because we are streaming on 7 different pages, please allow Facebook to have your name. You can just grant it permission. That way, when we see all of your comments, we know who we're talking to and not just getting Facebook user. So we don't want to be calling out any Facebook users. But yes, so on that note, how did you guys do? How was your season? 3 days? We only worked 3 days last week. It was fantastic.
I would say at Love for Dogs in Chicago and the Glencoe, Illinois, where my shop is, I think we were at about 90% of where we normally are for this time of year. We had a rush. It wasn't quite as big as in years past, but it was, full and busy every day. And it was still nice chocolates and cocktails and things from our clients and fruit baskets and a couple of really nice big tips. And so just a little bit less than years past, but still nice.
Yeah, we did really well. We were comfortably full. And we booked it that way on purpose because at the end of such a year and leading into such a year, I vowed to have my staff do plenty of self-care and not be overloaded. Usually around Christmas time, you have 1 or 2 criers because it's a lot, but we didn't have that this year. Everybody was cared for and loved through it, and we still made money. So I feel like it's a success, but we did that on purpose. We could have overloaded ourselves, like any other Christmas. You're like, yeah, now's the time to get the money or whatever. But I made a point not to do that, so it wasn't so bad.
Okay. Yep.
I just recuperated from all the time I spent in New Hampshire. So I came home to just trying to put my life in Mesa back together again from being gone for so long. So I only did a few little puppies here and there.
Yeah, Melissa, you gotta show us. Come on, show us the babies.
Oh, I got them over here.
They are hardly. This is hardly nothing that you've come home to. She's come home to motherhood.
Yeah, and has another one due.
Yeah, any day now. I have the aunt this one.
Oh, be still my heart.
These are my little. I named them after the Powder Puff girls. So there's Blossom and Bubbles and Buttercup. 3 girls. So here's my little Shih Tzus, and we're waiting for a litter any day. Oh my God, they're so cute and so soft.
God, they're gorgeous. Those are precious.
So yeah, that's keeping me busy for sure.
Yeah.
And they're 3 weeks tomorrow, so they'll be getting up on their feet soon, and they'll really be keeping me hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, so did you guys see what our topic is? All right, where's our background noise coming? Do we hear
I
that?
know. We have a,
An echo. Yeah, Lorraine. Do we hear
I
that?
know. We have a.
An echo. Yeah, Lorraine just added.
I don't
It could be
know.
my extra too much microphone for my small outfit here. Does that help?
That seems
Okay.
better.
That's better. No echo. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, you're not
that.
echoing.
Excellent.
All right. Very good. All
So yeah,
right.
no
So-
goals for the new year. Good topic.
Yeah. Goals. We all set goals. We all do something a little different. Sometimes we set personal goals. I personally have never taken any steps to do any personal goals. I think I kind of do it year round because I'm constantly changing and revamping, and the business model is always different. And it's got to be, because as you grow, it's got to change. You got to be open to what's next and what's new and what's coming. So I kind of leave the door open for options and go that way. But I know a lot of people have their minds kind of set in a certain direction and in that area. And who's doing that? Any of us here?
Let's to start.
I'm a list maker, so I always have goals. I don't ever achieve all of my goals, but I like to make big lists and then whittle them down to more, what's achievable and what's still dreamable. Because even though I'm not there yet, doesn't mean that, even though I haven't achieved it yet, doesn't mean I won't. It's just not the right time. I believe in seasons. So I love to make lists and go from there and start marking things off and prioritizing and all that. But I'm sitting here like this, the pen and pad, because that's all I ever do is write stuff down and make lists.
I have 4 pages of things I want to do at my shop.
Very good.
I just keep getting better and better ideas, mainly from you guys and from all the watching and learning that I've been privileged to be able to do. But I'm revamping my employee manual over the Christmas and New Year's break, and I am going to have a staff meeting like on the 4th or 5th. And then we're going to walk from room to room, because we have separate rooms for bathing, drying, hair cutting, reception, daycare. They all have their own spaces. And we're going to walk from room to room, and we're going to go over procedures. I feel like I spend a lot of my time as the owner and the master groomer in a shop. I feel like, because I have like 15 employees and I have a pretty big operation, and I feel like I spend a lot of time repeating myself. So I would say my number one goal for my staff this year is for me not to have to repeat a procedural correction more than one time. That's my goal for my staff. And I think I'm going to, I've actually had some employees say I'm too nice. So I'm going to continue to be polite and respectful and caring, because that's who I genuinely am. But I am going to be, if it's a procedural error, especially anything that's safety related, anything that, or that affects, doing it correctly on the dog, I'm going to give them one verbal warning, one written warning, and then in the new year, that's going to be a new thing I'm going to try to implement, because I'm really tired of repeating myself. But for the most part, they are all great people and they do a great job. They just kind of get lazy about certain details. So,
and what do you mind sharing what you think what those are?
So yeah, some of the details, like in each room, it's a different thing. So for the bathers, it's at the end of the bath. Just there's several things, but one of the things is that they're not using the chamoising process correctly, and they're letting dogs go dripping wet into cage dryers or the drying room, when they could be taking an extra 3 or 4 minutes and really using the chamois correctly, flat, pressing, wring it out, redo it. If they would just spend a few extra minutes doing that, 5 minutes of chamoising saves us 20 minutes of drying in the drying room. And
plus the coat's completely different. Absolutely. If you do that little extra step and release it from its lock that the water gives it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that would be one example of something I feel like I'm repeating myself about a lot in the hair cutting department. Each one of my groomers is there's a different thing. I have one groomer who is constantly making these large bell bottom feet, and I have another groomer who always kind of overdoes it leaves too much hair at the back of the head, or it's just little things like that. But it's something that they're doing a lot over and over again. So it's going to be things like that.
Okay.
You know what my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world is? When I see somebody that's afraid to take hair off and they do it over and over again, I'll just be talking and having a conversation with everybody, and I just walk over and I take a chunk out of it and say, okay, smooth it out, and then continue on with my conversation. I do it all the time, but I do it in a good way. I'm just like, oh, you're fucking out, or whatever. But I just do it in a really casual way. And I'm like, there you go. That'll help you out. Look for that shape. And then you just walk away. I love doing that. Or when they're afraid, are you sure it's an A guide? Are you sure that's really short? And I'll just go over there and hack something in it. And I'm like, okay, now you have to smooth it out.
Drive-by educating.
Yes. But getting back to our goals, I have no goals other than I have a list that I have to accomplish for each fraction of my life. And there's about 15 lists. And then I kind of, in my mind, scooch them together because they're prioritized from emergency so they can wait. And I just kind of scooch them together. And I start at the top of the list every day and do all the things that I can do. I pretty much live in the moment. I mean, I will write stuff down, but it has to be right now that's important because it's a lot right now.
So that's one way of looking at things, being in the now.
And, there's all different kinds of personalities.
You have a super busy life, though, Michelle. You're not the average Jane out there just schlepping along. So
yeah, it's true. But everybody can handle a different kind of goal. Some people, they need to have one basic goal and then break it down into 18 million different things to accomplish it. Just knowing how you work on your goals is super important. And if you've never thought about that before, maybe it's time you thought about the process of how you make your goals and how you reach your goals. Do you make a bunch of goals and then just say, oh, it's a list of unattainable things that I'll never have? Some people do that. You have to know how to flow chart it backwards. In order to be here, what do you have to do first? I have to do this first. So what do you need to do to get here? Okay, I have to do this first. So if you flow chart it back into a manageable goal for that moment, in order to file this big stack of papers, I've got to start with this one. And that's all I have to do today. If that's the thing that is stopping you. I did a good thing for myself. I am not the most organized person in the world. I'll tell you that much. I'm organized in my own way. And I can't, I don't know how to explain it. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone at all. But I did myself a favor. I purchased the time of a professional organizer to help me make a filing system that worked with my mind. And it changed my life. I am telling you. Now, my desk is still messy like Einstein, but I know where everything is. And when I go to find something in my file, it's exactly where my mind thinks it should be. I spent so many years spinning my wheels trying to organize files like all the books tell you to organize them and this, that, and the other. I'm telling you, those are bunk. There's not one system out there that's meant for everybody.
Right.
Everybody is unique and individualized. Absolutely. Your mind works in a certain way, and my mind works on squirrel. That is how it works. So when she came and I said, okay, this is what I do. I hate it. How can I change? I would like something that makes more sense to me. And she laid it out. She's like, well, you could do it a number of sort of ways. You could do it this way and lay it out this way. You could do it this way. She could be my objective person and say, okay, I see how this person lives her life and organizes and how she takes in her paper, her mail and her things that she brings in her household. And she was able to tailor make something that makes sense to me. She's like, I could never live like that. I could never file things like that. But this seems to be the best thing for you. So if you can't have if you have a business and you have trouble organizing, I highly recommend finding someone, a personal or a professional organizer, to come in and just help you with your filing in and of itself.
Amazing.
That frees up so much time in which you can actually start doing your goals and not worrying about how you're going to organize before you start your goals. Because some people have a way of just stopping themselves. Well, I can't do it because I have to clean this up first. Or I can't do this because I've got to do this first. You know what? Make your workspace workable. Clear a space, make it happen, make room for that goal to take place and evolve in your space.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Good for you.
I need a quiet space. I can't get anything done unless I have a quiet space. Mm-hmm. And that means no music on, no distractions, no TV. I can't work with distractions.
What is your goal what's your goal for the new year, Dara?
Which one?
Well, related to grooming.
Well, see, I guess you got to be a little more clear. Are we talking about actually doing the grooming? Because, that's not what I want to be doing.
Oh, no. So related to the school.
Yes. Well, I'm working on getting that organized. The biggest thing with the school right now is getting it set up to be able to take full capacity. I mean, we've got a waiting list for students to start. And once the state says we can have max students back on the floor, but with that, I need the right people in place on the floor teaching, because I can't get back on the floor. I've been on the floor now for...
Well, it's going to get to a point where you won't be able to get back on the floor.
I can't. I mean, my bookwork has suffered, the paperwork, and everything that goes into what I do has tremendously suffered, because I am on the floor 8-9 hours a day. And I just don't have the energy to go home. And I was, for the first 4 months, going home and up until 2-3 in the morning, trying to do the paperwork as well and keep up with it. And it just gets piled and piled. So I did what Michelle did a few months ago. I reorganized the desk and reorganized, because I had enrolled in a number of different classes that I have not been able to sit down and take because of everything else. So now I'm hoping to get back into that to better the business function, the business running. And that's what I do best. I mean, that's where my talent pulls everything together, is holding that solid.
So your goal would be to get off that floor.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Yep. So getting on that helps make the others, it's got to, that's goal number one.
I see some of our people in our chat room. And by the way, hi to Jessica. One of my groomers is in there. Hooray, Jessica, for being there. We have a Facebook user that has a new business, it looks like, with already 45 customers, and her goal is to grow that. But how exciting to see already.
I think, is that Kim? That might be Kim in Chicago also, but we can't see her name. So
yeah, I can't see.
I'm wondering if that's who, because I thought she said she might be on tonight. But
that's so exciting to be, to have a new business that seems to be off and running pretty well and starting to grow it. I think that given the number, I'm really interested to see your friends at the Pet Age magazine, Dara. Madam Icon, Madam Icon award winner. The Pet Age magazine usually has come out on an annual basis with a report of surveys that they take in the pet industry. And they always have really interesting data about pet ownership numbers and numbers of businesses, and they survey grooming shops and retailers and vets and kennels and the interesting statistics over a long time, ever since 9/11, ever since 2001, pet ownership has gone up significantly, almost doubled in the U.S. And plus, pets are living longer, and so pet ownership and the number of visits to pet groomers is way, 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 way up. And that's why we have this perceived groomer shortage, which is not really a groomer shortage. It's just that the number of groomers is not growing as quickly as the number of pet owners. And I think that when we see next year PetAge's survey information about pet ownership, I would bet you that pet ownership this year, just from what I've seen at my shop, and I know other groomers have seen the same thing, I've seen more new puppies this year than I have in my entire 40 years of grooming. I've never seen this many new puppies. I'm getting 2 to 3 new puppies a day for the last 6 months.
And that's strange you should say that, because I'm telling you, so have we. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
It's the pandemic. It's the pandemic. That's why.
Everybody needs something to cuddle. Oh my goodness. And we have had so many young and dogs and puppies that it's every day. Even one of my stylists, by the luck of whatever, by the luck of the universe, she has like 3 puppies on her schedule almost every day. She goes, it's another puppy. So now literally the entire shop, when she brings back a little puppy, we all go at the same time. It's another puppy. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's happening nationwide as far as I can tell. And if that's the case, our industry is, everybody should raise their prices. If you start to get so busy that you have got this much new clientele, bump your prices up a little bit. And, if you feel the pressure to do more in order to be able to make more money, I just think everybody is probably going to be in pretty good shape in terms of if you do decent grooming work, you're probably going to be pretty well set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is definitely a groomer's market looking for jobs right now, because every single shop is hiring, just about. But yeah, it seems like there is, if you're ready for a job change.
we're pretty saturated at my salon, but we do need a receptionist. We need a receptionist like crazy.
Yeah. God, I have the best receptionist in the whole universe. I'm so blessed.
I think a huge part of all of that with the new pet ownership is just the whole dynamic has changed for us as a society. Yeah. So many people are home now that would normally not be home all day long. And so they're home and they find that they would like to have a pet. And they've always put it off because they weren't able to. And now, I'm on the phone constantly with people because, like I said, I have a waiting list. So I interview people and I ask them, well, what's changed in your life? Why do you want to bring a puppy in now? And, and so many people have said the same thing. Oh, we had a dog a long time ago, but then our work schedules changed, or we had children and we never replaced the pet. We never got another pet. And now we're both home, or we're both working remotely and only go in once or twice a week. And they actually feel like they have the time to devote, which is actually great.
Yeah.
Because it's a different dynamic. And for us as groomers, we're going to start seeing this different breed of ownership where these people are actually in the home with their pets, are actually doing things like researching, grooming and feeding. And they have time to do this stuff because they don't have the other outside distractions. Mm-hmm. So now I agree with you, Jennifer. Now is the time to start to build your business up, build your social media up, build your policies and procedures, raise your pricing, get your products right. This is the time to set yourself apart from everyone else in the sea. Right.
Yep.
And I definitely, I definitely think it's going to be, in terms of our Pet Pro educators' identity here, it's just going to be a time. I hope all of us that are master groomers and that are experienced in the industry will do what the 4 of us are doing and what many, many other great grooming leaders are doing, and really take on find a young friend and somebody that is really a good young hire and train them. We need good people mentoring new people in the industry. If you know anybody that is a young person that loves animals and has good character and is a hard worker, take them under your wing and train them, because there's very few people that can really go to school. You can bring them in and teach them as they go, and I think it's so important.
And I'm 100% for all of that, but do it in the spirit of doing it because you want to share your knowledge, not because you want to trap someone into staying in your business to work for you. Because I talk to so many groomers that are like, oh, I refuse to teach anymore because I've taught so many and they've gone out and started their own business or went to work for somebody else and they took everything I knew. And to me, one of my greatest success stories is a groomer that came to me as when I had my little shop and my little school she was a bather and wanted to learn and came and worked for me and followed me when I went to a big box store and then left from there and opened her own shop and is now a very well-known competition groomer and has carved out a niche for her life and she loves it. And people that know that she started with me will compliment me and say, hey, that's awesome, that she's doing so well and you're happy for her and you support her in this. And I'd like to see more of that, where we teach others and then we let them go and bring that knowledge out there to the industry and not just try and keep them in a box.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the goal of any teacher to have the student surpass you. My favorite thing in the whole wide world to tell new students is, I don't want you to know everything I know. I want you to be better. I want you to know more than that. You're supposed to take what I know. I've spent a lifetime getting to this point. I want you to take all that and improve it with your minutes that you have in your lifetime. I won't last for forever, but what I've got, this is what I've got. And I want to be able to share that with as many people as I possibly can. And if that makes them go out and be successful because of me, isn't that my success as well?
Absolutely.
That's how I feel. When they succeed, I feel like I at least helped lay some sort of foundation for them to attain their success goals.
Yeah.
So when you're setting goals, think about the ripple effect. Think about the things that, those of you out there that want to teach, that envision that they want to get out there and teach. Envision that ripple effect. Know that for every person that you encounter and you do like Michelle, walk by and give it a little zip and walk away and be like, let me lend you a hand. Those little tidbits and snippets stick with us because we all have worked for other groomers that have helped us. They may not have been a technical mentor or a teacher, but have actually helped us improve our skills and our education. And we built upon that. And I think we get so caught up in the trying to look and see what somebody else is doing wrong that we forget about looking to see what somebody else is actually doing right.
Yes, absolutely. And correction shouldn't feel like a punishment.
No.
A lot of people I see that are, oh yeah, I'm supposed to teach her this. They get upset with them for whatever reason. The reason that they're there for you to help them is they don't know. So how could you even be mad at them? You're like, oh no, try it this way. And sometimes it's not chopping stuff off. It's like, ooh, wouldn't this look better with a different angle? Or this is fantastic. Now you got to carve down that booty a little bit, or whatever it is. I've been teaching all the people in my salon how to actually sculpt around the anus, because it's like, well, it's not just chopping so poop doesn't get stuck. It's a matter of shaping that. I said, actually, the butt end is probably a little bit more important than the front end, because when you're walking your dog, you don't look at its head, you look at its butt. Yeah. That butt should be beautiful.
Yeah.
So all those things, make them happy about being a groomer. Make them happy about learning stuff from you. That makes people receptive. If it's just all dark and no, you messed it up again, or Oh, I don't have to. Do I have to tell you this the 20th time? Absolutely. Some people need told the 20th time.
Sometimes
They do.
21 times.
That's the one. That's the one that'll stick. They're like, I get it now. They overthink it.
I hope every groomer will think about for, whatever you do on your personal, goals for the new year. The new year is a wonderful time to sort of, just because of a calendar change, it's a wonderful time to sort of stop and say, what could I envision different for this next year? And I know that 2020 has just been this epically difficult year. It's going to be in the history books. Trust me, as a history teacher, I can tell you this one's in the history books. And we will be processing its effects on us for many years to come. But a good way forward out of it, since now we have a vaccine on the horizon, and now we can actually envision that hopefully sometime in 2021 things might start to look a little more normal again. Not yet, but we're at least we can see it from here now. So, I would just encourage, just from a grooming end, everybody should find that one new skill that maybe they haven't quite mastered yet. Maybe you haven't added hand stripping to your repertoire, and you know that that's what the wire-coated breeds really need, at least partially. Or maybe you want to eliminate a bad practice like shaving double-coated dogs, or you want to do more. You want to do better via your customer scheduling, or you want to add a new. You want to switch to all spa product shampoos, or you want to get more into skin therapies, but pick one thing that you can do to better yourself as a groomer, and try to implement it in 2021, and actually identify, what do you need to do? You need to take a class? Do you need to mentor with somebody? Do you need to acquire some new equipment, or what do you need to do to get there? And then kind of set a calendar for yourself. I think it's always an exciting chance.
Yeah, I'm going to also challenge all of the people that have employees. What are you going to do for your groomers? I've got, and this is an example that I'm looking at this next year. I've got a groomer who, her scissor skills she is at the peak of her power. She's young enough, her wrists are young, her eye is good, but she has never, and she actually owned her own salon in the state that she came in. She's a very good groomer. However, she has never been challenged by breed trims. So she's never put a poodle in a lamb. She's never done any of that. So my challenge, my goal is to offer her opportunities in order to improve. I would really like to see her get her master's this year, or at least a good start of it. So that's my goal, as a manager of employees that have people working under me. Not only should you have a personal goal, how are you going to help the people around you? Because we are colleagues. We are on the same team. We are dog professionals. Why wouldn't you want to, it's one thing to get on Facebook or something and go, oh, can you believe that? Did you see that groom? Can you believe she even took a picture of that? Why would we feel that way? Say, oh, you know what? This is a woman or a man who's really trying to put forth their best effort. And you know what? I can see that I can help them. Why not give them what they need? Or if they're not asking, just point out the good things that you see about it. You know what? That looks really rustic. That's beautiful. Whatever, but make it positive. That way they will be more open for when you have an actual criticism. And criticism and critique are different things. You can criticize somebody, or you can critique
it.
Yeah, critiquing means giving them something valuable in a nice way that they can learn and improve themselves. Criticism is breaking them down and making them feel like they're not worthy of that next step. So be very careful with your words. Be very careful about how you present that teaching environment. You want to make it open and loving, and you want to make them say, oh yeah, I do want to improve. And I know I'm not better, but if you tell me the angle's wrong, I want to look at it from all angles and see how I can get the best angle. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need. We've got enough people who are backbiting, who are taking everybody down or thinking they're better just because they've been in the business 30 years. I've been in the business 35 years, and there's a ton of better groomers than me. Ton of them. A ton of them. And I've got my strengths and weaknesses, and so does everybody else.
Everybody.
So if you think about it that way, just absolutely give them an emotional hug if you can't give them a real hug.
Yeah.
Give them some of your love. Spread some of your wisdom and your patience and your compassion that you have for the dogs you're working on for the other people that are also trying to give their best to dogs.
And I just want to use, I want to amen that, sister, and just point out that all of the groomers that you admire, any of you that watch the great, and talented groomers that are out there in either you can see them online now, or you see them on social media, or you see them in videos, or you see them when conferences resume and contests resume. And you know why almost everybody goes to contests, why they enter contests year after year and travel and do all the work to compete in a contest? They all tell me the same thing. And these are people who are working to become the great groomers, but they're doing it for the critiques. They enter these grooming contests so that they can get a great judge to give them a critique. I mean, imagine all the work and effort that they're going to seek that critique. That is a sign of a really exciting up and coming groomer, somebody who's—
It's hard work. It's hard work, and it means focus, and it means consistency, and it means going after that goal. Absolutely. Those are hard working. Those ones at the top 10%, I'm telling you. But I'm here to tell you, sometimes they pay a price. Sometimes they do 2 breed trims really, really good. And they don't for the other types of breeds because that's not their specialty. And you can make a living doing just poodles. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being good at 2 dogs, at 2 breeds. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody will find their spot. So even though you see somebody that does this magnificent groom, maybe they don't know anything about skin. Maybe somebody who knows a bunch about skin doesn't know how to do a continental. So we all have something to contribute to each other. So I'd say that my goal for next year also is a big one, is trying to bring everybody together and lessen the biting as much as I possibly can and deter it wherever I see it, because everybody has value. Everyone has value and has something to contribute.
I love what Lisa Herbold, our great master groomer, my great master groomer friend here from also in the Illinois area, Lisa Herbold says that she always balances her every critique she gives. She also finds something to praise. That's wonderful.
Always, yeah.
Let me ask you, ladies, for this year, for this new coming year, when I journal every morning, I give myself a word for the day. Whatever my word is for that day, whether it's something that I just pick randomly, I have a program that will give me a random word so that I always can build my vocabulary as well.
Good for you.
But I give myself a word every single day, depending on whatever it is. Today, my word was understanding. And so that was everything I had to really think about today. Anything that happened, everything I had to think, okay, am I truly understanding this experience, or am I just powering through to get to the next thing? So my word today was understanding. I gave myself my word for next year, which is kindness. That's the word that I'm going to try and stand on for the entire year.
Oh, so great.
What word would you choose for 2021? If you had to choose a word that you could say, this is a word that I want to really try to stand on, and the meaning of the word, obviously.
My word is tenacious.
Beautiful.
Because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
Tenacious.
I'm going to think on that.
Think about it.
I know for me personally, getting the 15 coat types in book form is my top goal. So it's got to be something around, I want to do, and I think it's already happening, something transformative in the industry. So I'm going to say, I want to transform and show a really concrete path forward for people that have been caught in some very old school practices in the industry that are not good for the dogs. So that's
transformation is a great word. That's an awesome word.
Education, Lisa. Yes, Lisa. Education.
Everybody that's watching, think about what's your word. Dara, what word would you choose?
I've been trying to think about that.
Nancy Coates says hope. Love that.
I know.
Oh,
I saw
that's-
that with Angie.
We love you, Angie. Yes, hope is a good word.
I guess, are you saying to do a word that we want to work on, or
Yeah,
seeing
we're
them-
work towards. For me, it was more for the. I'm a word kind of person. I'm a writer, so I love words. So
Okay.
for me, I give myself a daily word to think about, and for 2021, I chose a word that I wrote in my 2021 journal already. That I wrote. My word for the year is kindness. So I need to examine when I sit and journal, I need to sit and examine were these situations born out of kindness? Were my reactions born out of kindness? And use that word as my catalyst to examine how I operate, my modus operandi, right? That's what I want for the year is kindness. So for you, Dara, like, and you don't have to tell me. You don't have to say what it is right now. It's just a way to kind of get everybody thinking about that.
The first thing that comes to my head is empowerment.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that's amazing.
Dara, you do that.
Help everyone.
Right.
And even including myself to take the steps and help everyone get to their proper places.
That's awesome.
And where they need to be. But it's been empowering to meet Michelle in February,
Amen.
and have that connection, and that solidified our relationship, just knowing that the connection helped. But I feel like we empowered each other throughout this year to challenge ourselves with what we've created with the school. And Melissa, what you've brought, and Jennifer, you've given back, and that we've all just kind of clung to each other. But our greater core being is empowering all of our viewers, all of our watchers, to take the steps and go beyond and better the industry. And that's our biggest. That's what we're all trying to do.
Those are all great words. Those are all great words. I know it seems simple, but I like to just kind of break things down because I like to examine how I acted all day long, even if it's just me by myself in my house with my puppies. It just is. It's just about. For me, like I said, my word was understanding today. So it's just about trying to be understanding, be open to those kind of concepts. So if you're going to set goals for your year, if you're going to, try and shoot for things, and this is so uncertain right now, there's so much uncertainty, I just feel like, and you don't have to be a journaler. I mean, I got my sister doing it, and she hates to write, and she writes her word on a sticky note and sticks it on her fridge every morning. That's all she has time to do, but that's up there. She's working from home remotely, so all day long when she goes in and out of the fridge, she sees that word. So there's simple tricks. Yeah, they're just simple ways to just kind of keep you on track.
Well, I would like to throw this out there to everyone who's watching, just because, like we were saying earlier, a lot of people don't set goals or have or are afraid to. And if you're afraid to or not ready yet, just set one, something simple. And I kind of view it as when you look at credit card debt, what do they tell you to do? Start with your smallest, pay that one off, and then move on to the next, and move on to the next, and start small and grow big. So you got to take the baby steps to do that. And one, it could just be a day goal, a week goal, and it doesn't have to be the same.
Yeah,
It
and
can
for
be
those suffering
small.
from depression, because I know that is, we are very emotional and very feeling beings, us groomers. For those of us who are experiencing depression, you can't work or you're homebound for whatever reason, sometimes just getting up and making the bed is the goal. And that's okay, and it's enough. That's enough.
Yep.
If you decide that you want to do something one day and you're ready to get up and do something, don't set your goal as, okay, I'm going to go get dressed and go to the mall and do my shopping. Sometimes just getting up, making your bed, taking a shower, do something for yourself. And that is okay to stop there if that's all you can do and still feel very good about yourself. So, I mean, baby steps mean baby steps for all of us individually. Don't think we're not asking anyone to just jump up and, build a building.
Mm-mm.
And that the principle of that applies absolutely even to whatever professional goals we set for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Very, very good wisdom there, Michelle. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would like to go back up, and I don't know if Kathleen is still on with us, but she made a comment earlier about working at a vet clinic as a W-2 employee, but she's investigating changing that, and I am intrigued by that. I want to know a little bit more. What are we investigating changing about that scenario?
I'm investigating being more than one group, the only groomer at your clinic, or are you going off into your own thing and doing piecework, or, what are you going to do?
Something, and she says organizing everything needs to
And
to
also,
happen.
Miranda set up a really interesting challenge that her goal for 2021 is to start planning for retirement.
Yay, Miranda!
March.
Yay, good. Yes, absolutely.
You're never young enough to start that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you are 2, that's the time. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
are never too young to start that.
Yes, do it. Yes.
Now, my husband and I this last year bought a long-term care policy because my mother went into a facility a year ago, and it really opened our eyes as to how you have to plan financially for that, or having care in your home or whatever when you get much older. So we both bought. We're both in our early 60s, but we both bought a long-term care policy, and I've dropped 75 pounds, and we're trying to do those kinds of things that it's going to make it easier for when we hit our 70s and our 80s, because people are living that long now.
Right.
And longer, yeah.
I do want to say one more thing about the sort of the new year, looking back at a difficult 2020 and looking ahead to a really hopefully better 2021 for everybody, is that I know that with 330,000 dead Americans and millions dead worldwide, that there's a lot of loss and a lot of empty hearts, broken hearts out there. And there's a lot of people that have confronted the darkest and worst chapters of their lives because of this. And I just want to, some of you all know that I work also in this field of victims rights, and that I've had a murder in my family. My sister, her husband, and their baby were killed 30 years ago. And I've been a victim activist, and I married a victim activist. My husband, Bill Jenkins, is a college professor who wrote a book on traumatic loss. It's called What to Do When the Police Leave, A Guide to the First Days of Traumatic Loss. And we teach a lot, both of us, on trauma. And, we've been through a collective trauma. Trauma is a very different kind of experience to come out of. It's, by definition, that which is beyond our coping skills. Some of the challenges that have been thrown at some of us this year are literally beyond our coping skills. And that means it's traumatic. And that means that, what you were saying about just taking a step at a time, but just also to recognize that we've been through something extraordinary, and that it's important to do self-care and to focus on your health and balance, good sleep, good nutrition, social things, keeping safe, stability, safety, security, and your health.
Sunlight and water.
Yes.
Self-care.
Good night.
Sunlight and water, I am telling you.
You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You can't help anyone else. You can't fill, you can't fill a cup from an empty vessel. So
Right.
you have to. And I beat myself up about that a lot because now I'm back home and I'm not in a salon setting and I'm not go because COVID has taken away a lot of my side jobs where I, taught at other facilities and a lot of other things face to face. So in the beginning, I really struggled with that, and I still struggle with it, where I feel like and I had this conversation with Dara not too long ago, we equate our self-worth with what we bring in, with what we do, what we can produce. And so when we feel like we're not being as productive as we normally are, we start to beat ourselves up. And this whole, like you said, Jennifer, this whole collective trauma that we're all suffering from has us all off kilter.
Yep.
And so you have to give yourself some girth, you know what I mean? Like some wideness to that little road that we usually only allow ourselves down.
Yep.
And say, you know what? Today I got up, I made the bed, and I made myself lunch, and that's about all I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. And that's all I can handle, and that's okay.
And it's enough.
Exactly. It's enough. And that's a very hard thing, especially for us as groomers in this profession. Mm-hmm. We are people that are constantly going above and beyond. So we expect a lot out of others, but we expect 100% more from ourselves.
And we work very physically hard. And
yes, we do.
Rest and nutrition. I just think taking care of yourself and focusing on your health, that's so, so true.
Yeah.
And just to say, Angie, in the comment room, somebody's kitty who's demanding supper, that's my cat.
Yeah. I was looking around. I'm like, mine aren't in my office.
Yeah,
so
I better not have a cat in here. I don't know that.
We have 2 cats and 5 dogs in our household, and they all get along great. But Archimedes is making it very clear that he wants to be fed.
Yes. Because the name is Archimedes too. That
might have got a great name.
Very cool.
All right. Well, if you guys are up for it, I would love to see what people think of this.
Hello from Australia, Alejandra.
That's wonderful. Australia.
Yes.
To see what their goals are. If we post I don't want to post a poll, but post something in the Pet Pro Educators for those watching there, or in the other ones. I don't know how I can add it to all of us, but to see
just put it in the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group.
Yeah, and I'd love to get what you guys want to work towards, because I'd like to save it and in 6 months look back, or in 3 months, or even at the
why don't you post a short-term goal and a long-term goal, whatever it is.
We'll visit this and see who's doing it, and see if we can help people set some goals and hold them to it, even for ourselves.
Accountability.
There's some great graphics, and I'll send you a thing after the show, Dara, that you could post up on the page that has that they'd be able to utilize to be able to break down goal setting. That'll help with understanding how to even set goals, manageable goals.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between dreams and goals.
Right. Yep. Goals are trying to obtain them.
Right.
Dreams are
or aspirations. Right. Yeah, they are. They're good things to have, but goals are more concrete. Yeah. And dreams and aspirations are more kind of up here, ethereal kind of things that we draw inspiration from.
Well, our goals should be helping us reach those.
Yes.
So you're making and creating your goals to reach those.
And I think this time is going to be very different for all of us, even though a lot of us have maintained our status quo with breaks in it. you know. For me, it's very different. I'm out of my element. I don't like to not do anything all the time or just sit all day and write curriculum or like Jennifer said, we're super physical. We want to be doing that kind of stuff. So for those of you that are on that back burner right now due to, this whole pandemic and all this craziness, I feel you. I completely empathize with the situation because it is a difficult situation if you are a person that is a physical mover and wants to, get out there. It's part of our creative process, I really believe. So I think that stymied a lot of us, and it made us look at each other like, well, what are you doing, Jennifer? And what are you doing, Michelle? And I saw Dara do this. And because we have too much time to look at each other and be critical.
You can criticize me because I ate at the Cheesecake Factory today.
Wow.
We had our Saturday party.
It was so good.
I had to give away all my Christmas cookies. Otherwise, I would be eating them as we speak.
Flan. I had pineapple upside down. So blew my diet. Wonderful party today. One of my groomers gave me purple poodle earrings.
Oh, look at those are adorable.
Yes.
They have little ears that move.
Oh, yeah. That is adorable.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
I love these.
See, those are the little things that matter the most.
That's right.
I got rid of all my Christmas cookies by donating them to my neighbors who were thrilled. So I was thrilled that I didn't have to eat any more of them.
I just want to let you know, I had a dream. We had a Christmas party just of the people that work together. And we all decorated these giant gingerbread people. And there was candy everywhere, and we had to bring a dish. I had a dream that I made mashed potato cake. And I told one of the coworkers about it, and they're like, "Oh, you should totally make that." So I did, and it was fantastic.
Oh my gosh!
Weird. It was straight up mashed potatoes, and you mixed in all the loaded stuff: bacon, a little bit of cheddar cheese, and some green onions, and then you can ice it with sour cream. And I put it in a bunt pan and to form it, and then you can bake it on a stone or whatever you have or whatever to get the crisp on the outside, and then you pipette the sour cream.
Oh my gosh!
There was a little bit left, and I wanted my baking stone, and I was like, I'm just going to toss this in the trash. It was like 12 potatoes, okay? And they're like, no, and they're fighting over it and trying to cut it. It's like the best potatoes we ever had.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Potato cake.
Mashed potato cake.
Wow.
It is now.
I'll expect that the next time I come over, Michelle.
Right? It's so easy.
Put that up. Margaritas and mashed potato cake.
Yes.
Combination. Oh my God.
Hey, don't knock till you try it.
No, Loren, she dreamt it and then she did it.
That's it.
Yeah. I made it up, and then I actually made it.
That was
so that is realizing your dreams. Your dreams do come true.
There you go. Yep.
Oh boy. All right, ladies. On that note.
I am confident that 2021 is going to be, as one of my clients said to me today, it's got to be a better 2021 because it can't get much worse.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that the Dalai Lama has said. That's my husband's nickname. He was not nicknamed that by me. He is so wise, and he brings so much to the table in objectivity and focus and reason. He's just a rock of reason and logic. And he said, regardless of what is happening in the world, has always been happening. All this that we're seeing, we could just see it better. It's not different than yesterday. It might be a little bit different than yesterday, but overall, all that is separate from our minutes. All the things that are happening in the world, all the things that we're seeing on TV or whatever, you still have control of your minutes. Look around you. This is
Yeah.
something that really came to me today as I was leaving Cheesecake Factory.
With your mashed potato pie. No, sorry.
Oh no, that was a different party. That was a whole different party. So we are richer than 98% of the world
Yeah.
just by being in America.
Yep.
Now, I'm not a biblical follower, but I do find some passages very fitting and comforting at times. And it was even said that Jesus said when Judas was telling him, you could have spent that money on the poor, but you spent it on oil so she could wash your feet. He said, no, there's always going to be poor. There's always going to be people struggling. Struggling is part of the human condition. However, be thankful for what you see around you. I'm well fed. I'm well cared for. My lights are on. My car runs. I have 2 little fat dogs that I adore. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful because the outer world really hasn't touched me that much. And while I understand people are struggling, and I understand that some people are in a whole lot of mess, there's always something around you. You are in the position to be the champion of your future by the choices that you make now. So be thankful for having a place to sleep at night. Be thankful for all those beautiful things you have. Your tchotchkes, your comfort foods, your things that you do have are important. There's a kabillion people that are richer than me. Kabillions. But I'm thankful for what I have. I don't covet their stuff. I got my stuff the way I got it. You know, you have to enjoy your life. Don't be so broken by what you're hearing that you take on the weight of the world. No one of us is meant for that weight.
Nope.
All of it. Take on your section and improve your little space as much as you can. And that's a very Buddhist concept. Then you contribute to the beauty of the world by doing that. So that's what I want to leave you with until we see you again in the new year.
That's a good way to end this.
Yeah.
That is a very good way because as of
Thank you.
next one, we will be in 2021. So
Thanks to all of our friends in the chat room.
Yes,
all
everybody.
of our users there, all of our watchers.
This was a good one. Good luck with your goal setting. I'll send Dara some graphics on that so that way she could post those.
Oh, there we
for
go.
those that
Okay.
want that.
Thank you, Alejandro, for joining us from Australia. And
Absolutely.
good goal.
And I'm watching you in Australia. I see what you're going through. Don't you worry. We'll come through. The human spirit is strong. So you keep up with what you're doing down there, okay?
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. We will
Happy
see
New
you
Year.
next Monday.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.